Aloha and welcome to Honolulu Cop for You, where we discuss current events and various issues in Honolulu and offer an opinion that just might get you to think a little deeper and perhaps consider a different viewpoint. I'm Gary Diaz, and the moniker Honolulu Cop began in 2002 with the publication of my book Honolulu Cop Reflections on a Career with HPD. Today's topic is Part 2 of the FBI's investigation into the alleged corruption committed by former HPD Chief Louis Kealoha and his wife, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Katherine Kealoha, and City Prosecutor Keith Kaneshiro. As we ended in Part 1, we saw that the FBI has leveled some very serious and heavy allegations that detail a complicated web of lies and deceptions committed by the Kealohas and a few other people, mostly Honolulu Police Department officers. Continuing on in Part 2, where we left off, the FBI has arrested and charged Louis and Katherine Kealoha for obstruction of justice, conspiracy, making false statements to a federal officer, and bank fraud. In addition, Katherine Kealoha was also charged with aggravated identity theft. Retired HPD Major Gordon Shiriishi was arrested and charged for alleged obstruction of a federal investigation. HPD Lieutenant Derek Hahn was arrested and charged for alleged conspiracy, obstruction, and making false statements to a federal officer. HPD Officer Bobby Nguyen was also arrested and charged for conspiracy, obstruction, and making false statements to a federal officer. And HPD Lieutenant Derek Hahn was part of that group as well. Prosecutor Keith Kaneshiro is being investigated for the criminal offenses of corruption and abuse of power, where it is alleged that he covered up for Katherine Kealoha. Kaneshiro has refused to step aside while the federal investigation is continuing, but efforts are underway to impeach Kaneshiro from his position. Deputy Prosecutor Chassid Sopolo is being investigated for his involvement in the case and alleged unethical practices, and Corporation Counsel Attorney Donna Leong is being investigated for alleging the orchestration of the severance pay package of $250,000 to Louis Kealoha without approval from the City Council. The Kealohas, Shiriishi, Han, Nguyen will be going to trial later in 2019, and I presume we will learn at some point the results of the investigations against Kaneshiro, Sapolo, and Leong. It's mind-boggling to think that these people who were sworn to uphold the law and to hold a higher standard of conduct for themselves could be accused of such wanton criminal acts. But hey, Honolulu is a big grown-up city. We've had mass murder. We've had white-collar crime Ponzi schemes. We've had serial rapists. We've had child abductions. We've had high-profile murder cases such as Diane Suzuki. And we've had our own Sand Island serial killer. But don't get me started on Suzuki and the serial killer, because I'll start telling you stories about what I believe is prosecutorial misconduct in failing to charge the suspects in those cases when the evidence was obvious, direct, and compelling. Let me cool down for a second, because every time I talk about that, I get heart palpitations. Okay, continuing on. First, I believe the FBI and the Justice Department would not charge the Kealohas and the police officers with such serious crimes if they didn't believe that they had more than enough evidence to obtain convictions. The FBI is not known for grandstanding, and they certainly would not make such damaging comments about a police chief and a deputy prosecuting attorney unless they felt absolutely confident in their investigations. One thing is definitely certain. The Honolulu Police Department and the city's prosecuting attorney's office have been severely tainted by this investigation and the accusations against the Kealohas and Prosecutor Kaneshiro. You talk about a black eye. The eyes are not only black, they're swollen shut. The underlying cheekbones are shattered and blood is flowing from the nose and ears. That's how beat up the police department and the prosecutor's office appears to be. Recovery from these allegations is going to be long, difficult, and painful. It's easy to see how the general public could lose confidence in police leadership and the city prosecutor's office. But I gotta tell you, it's good to hear the new police chief make efforts to improve their image and to improve the behavior of all of the officers. It's time for me to share my opinions and add a few ifs. So let me drop a few huge ifs on you. If the FBI allegations are true concerning Louis Kealoha, then the former police chief has done irreparable damage to the integrity of the Honolulu Police Department, and his name will forever be stained with that dirty cloud of corruption. If these allegations are true, and you were to go to the police department and view the Honolulu Police Museum, you would see a list of all the police chiefs that have served. And if Kealoha is convicted, when you get to his name, you will read all about the corruption that he was alleged to have committed. If the FBI allegations are true concerning Katherine Kealoha, it would then be reasonable to believe that Katherine Kealoha was the mastermind behind all of the federal criminal offenses committed by her husband, the other HPD officers, and perhaps other people who were named as being investigated but not yet charged. When you look at the sequence of events, and when you look at the allegations made by the FBI, and statements given by the people who have already pled guilty as co-conspirators, you see the name Katherine Kealoha come up again and again, advising people what to say, telling people to lie, and trying to cover up the crimes that were alleged to have been committed. If the FBI charges and convicts Keith Kaneshiro or anyone in the city prosecuting attorney's office, it would amount to one of the highest abuses of power in Honolulu city government's history. If Kaneshiro is charged and if he is convicted in the future, it could also lead to appeals by convicted defendants who may allege that Kaneshiro's leadership tainted their conviction, not to mention appeals by defendants in ongoing trials. The current Honolulu Chief of Police has also expressed grave concern as to the influence Keith Kaneshiro's alleged crimes is going to have on ongoing cases. Could all of this lead to cases being overturned? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. If the FBI investigation subsequently arrests, and if they subsequently convict Donald Leong of committing an offense by orchestrating the payment of $250,000 to Louis Kealoha, then the biggest corruption case in Honolulu's history will have extended from the police department to the city prosecutor and to the heart of the city government, the attorneys for the city, the corporation council. And if the FBI investigation finds involvement in criminal activity by the corporation council, will their investigation extend to other city employees or other elected officials? And will indictments be brought against them? Time will tell us that. Lastly, it is my belief and my opinion that because of the office held by the accused, Louis Kealoha and Katherine Kealoha, where each of them has sworn to uphold the law, where each of them was expected by society to behave with integrity and to hold high their own personal standards. If convicted, I believe they will more than likely be sentenced to federal prison. And it is my opinion that such prison sentences based on the types of crimes that they were alleged to have been committed could very well be very long ones. There's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of allegations. But the laundry has been aired and it's dirty. The feast has been tainted and spoiled, and it leaves a foul taste in your mouth. There are concepts of law, however, that provide each of us living in the United States with the knowledge that we are protected against being railroaded into false criminal convictions. Those concepts are that every person accused of a crime is considered innocent until proven guilty, that every person has the right to defend themselves, and that every person has the right to be judged by a fair and impartial jury of his or her peers. One thing is certain: we will eventually find out all of the evidence held by the FBI and whether the accusations against the Kealohas and the others will stand the test by their peers in court. Stay tuned. This ain't over yet. And now for a new segment, the quotes of the day. Actually, I have two quotes today. The first refers to people who are corrupt. Power does not corrupt men. Fools, however, if they get into a position of power, corrupt power. George Bernard Shaw. The second quote refers to people who oppose corruption. I will not let anyone walk through my mind with their dirty feet. Mahatma Gandhi. Well, that's it for today, my friends. It was good to have you. Check back again for future episodes. And if you enjoyed this discussion, tell your friends about it. And please subscribe. It's free. Aloha.